Yeah, the race and the legs will decide. I mean, it's our advantage that we have a couple of guys, more than two actually. We have Fuglsang also up there in the classement, and ultimately that should give us an advantage. It will all play out, I think, looking at a lot more at the competitors than looking at ourselves, because we know how strong we are, and I think it will be more the case of seeing exactly how strong Contador is, how strong Gesing is, but not forgetting Cadel. I think Cadel for the moment looks like just as big a favorite as Contador.
Okay. Do you think Evans can actually go the distance in this year's race?
If you look at his performance planning without knowing the details, if you see how he's timed his season towards this race compared to last year, I think so. The thing with we saw after he won the Worlds how he was always able to plan his season and win important races, whereas last year he put a lot of eggs in one basket with the Giro, and like other riders as well, they paid a price for it at the Tour. And I think ultimately Evans he's a perfect stage racer. Tactically astute, strong on the time trials, riding aggressively on the climbs, and you know, this might be his year. A lot of guys, they try and then finally they get it, and that could also be the case for Evans. I would not underestimate him 1 second. I mean, that would be a big mistake.
Contador has to go on the offensive and make up time. But how will that play out with using Fuglsang? I mean, potentially you could push him into a break and tire out Contador's team and making him work. Is that a tactic that you've thought about?
I mean, it's one of the cards we can play, but I think even if he didn't have the deficit, Contador's strategy would still be to make difference on the climbs. That's what I mean, he's a great time trialist and he'll be able to defend the lead there, but ultimately Contador, even if he didn't have the time deficit that he has now, he would be on the attack. Our advantage is that we can cover some of the early attacks, and maybe someone like Jakob can pull through, and he's not someone who gets dropped on the first parts of the last climb, so that is a very important line for us to play.
Sure. And how important are the Pyrenees versus the Alps? I mean, for example, if you got through the Pyrenees and the deficit would be the same as 140, would that be a victory for you?
Yeah, but I cannot imagine that. I'm finding that very hard. I'm finding it hard to imagine, and also, yeah, the Alps if you look at the sheer amount of climbing are harder, but they're harder because they're after the Pyrenees. The accumulation of fatigue is extremely important in this race, so it will be a question also of who's maybe a little bit less tired after the Pyrenees. So it's not two isolated parts, because once you're at the Alps you have the Pyrenees in your legs.